All right, welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Today we're tackling a pretty, well, a pretty universal topic, I'd say.
Definitely universal.
We're looking at how attraction to sense objects, things we experience through our senses, can lead to suffering.
Yeah, it's a deep one.
It is. And we're going to be looking at this through verse 34 from chapter 3 of the Gita for Joyful Living.
Great source.
Yeah. So this source, it basically lays out this idea, right? Sense objects lead to action, which then creates attachment and bam, suffering.
Mm-hmm.
But the source doesn't just tell us this. It uses this really, really interesting analogy to help us understand the bee and the honey.
A classic.
Yeah. So just to recap, the bee is attracted to the honey, dives right in, and ends up trapped.
Yep. Stuck.
Yeah. So I don't know about you, but it really makes me think,
Oh, yeah.
how often do we get so caught up in, just enjoying something that we don't see the potential downsides?
Yeah, absolutely. All the time, I think. We fixate on that enjoyment,
Mm-hmm.
and lose sight of the bigger picture. We think, oh, this thing, this experience, this person, this is going to bring me lasting happiness. But honestly, how often does that actually happen?
Yeah. And the source even says that, that happiness, the kind of we're chasing like that is fleeting.
Very temporary.
Yeah. And the more we chase it, the more we just get
Stuck. Just like that bee.
Yeah, exactly. And that actually makes me think about teaching 45 in the Gita for Joyful Living.
Okay.
So this teaching suggests that it is possible to enjoy things in life without becoming attached.
That's a good one.
Right? So I'm curious, how could we even reconcile those two ideas? Can we truly find joy without clinging to things?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, right? The Gita for Joyful Living actually lays out a 6-step process that explain how desire leads to suffering. But I don't think it's saying we have to deny ourselves any pleasure.
Okay.
It's more about understanding how desire works.
Okay, so walk us through these 6 steps. I'm really interested to see how this all plays out.
All right, so first you have the sense object. Anything that appeals to any of your senses, really. Could be anything. A beautiful sunset, a delicious meal.
Even the approval of someone you look up to.
Oh, yeah. For sure. So our sense organs, they take in this information and send it to the mind.
Okay, so it's like our senses are feeding our minds all this input constantly.
Exactly. And then our minds, based on our experiences, our conditioning and all that, they decide, is this desirable or undesirable?
Okay, so this is where we start creating these judgments.
Right.
Right? Like and dislike.
Yeah. And now here comes the ego.
Oh.
Right? The ego, that part of us that's all about me and mine.
Okay.
And the ego sees something it wants, and it starts pushing us towards it. Now, sometimes our intelligence tries to step in, weigh in on whether this is actually a good thing to pursue.
But oftentimes the ego wins out.
Right. Most of the time, yeah, we find a way to rationalize our desires and convince ourselves that, oh, I need this to be happy.
Right, right.
But and here's the thing. Whether we actually get what we want or not, that desire, it doesn't just disappear.
It's still there.
It might quiet down for a bit, but it always comes back. And you know what? It often comes back even stronger.
So we're always chasing something.
Pretty much. Always wanting, getting, and then wanting more. It's a tiring cycle.
Exhausting.
No wonder the source links it to suffering, right?
Yeah, I could see that.
And this is where attachment comes into play. The more we do this, the more we start to cling. We depend on external things for happiness. And this clinging, this attachment, that's the root of suffering.
Right, right. But going back to the source, it says the senses themselves are innocent.
Exactly.
It's our actions, our choices that create this issue.
Yeah, that's important. It all comes back to verse 34. Remember, attraction and repulsion.
Yeah.
These are, they're human experience.
They are, yeah.
We're always going to be drawn to some things and repelled by others.
Natural.
But we can't become enslaved to these forces. If we let them control our actions, that's when they become obstacles on the path to self-realization.
Okay, I see. But, if we're always surrounded by these sense objects and our minds are just wired to judge and desire, how do we even begin to break free from this cycle?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it? If attachment is the root of suffering, how do we cultivate detachment without denying ourselves, the richness and the beauty of the world?
Exactly. How do we enjoy life's pleasures without getting caught in that trap of clinging?
I think that's something we all need to think about.
It's definitely food for thought.
Big time. THES.